So, good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. I'm very honored. So many people, so many students. Maybe I should have removed my tie. I look a little bit too formal. Last time I was speaking in Turkey was 10 years ago. It was also to students. So I don't know, maybe some of you, and it was about technology and how technology can impact the future. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Hervé Marché. I'm the head of education for Amazon Web Services for Middle East, Turkey, and Africa. I've been working at Amazon for 2 years and a half, a little bit less than that. But the big thing is that before I was an entrepreneur, and I was an entrepreneur in artificial intelligence. So I created 3 different companies, all about AI, mainly predictive AI, so the AI that we use to predict the future. But today I will talk more about Gen AI, which focuses more on generating content. So that's what is important. I'm so excited, about these kind of topics that I took some notes because there's few things I don't want to forget, which are some data that I would like to share with you, because I'm not going to explain you what is Gen AI. I'm pretty sure you know very well, but I'm more going to talk about how Gen AI will impact you, will impact companies, will impact economies. So there are studies at this time saying that Gen AI will impact around 7% the global GDP of the planet. So 7% of the global GDP of the planet, and it's Goldman Sachs that is announcing that, it's around 7 trillions. To give you an idea, $7 trillion of GDP, it's 6 times the Turkey GDP, it's 40% of the European GDP, so you can see that it's really massive. I think we lost the slide. Now back? Okay. So the thing also very important to understand is that 2/3 of the jobs will be impacted by Gen AI. So for the last 10 years, AI, machine learning, deep learning, everybody knows about it. But recently, Gen AI, 1 or 2 years, it's a little bit different. Still use, of course, the machine learning, still use the deep learning, still use algorithm, but on a deeper way. And why AWS is important in this picture is because the cloud gives the access to power that nobody else could have. So that means that today you can work on the cloud having access to GPU, to CPUs, to memory that was not possible before. When I was a student in France, there was only one school having a supercomputer that was able to do crash tests on cars, and it was only one. Now at home, if you want to do a crash test of a car, you can do it yourself. You don't need any superpower computer. It's all available on the cloud. So, if I tell you innovation transform industry, I'm pretty sure you know about it. I'm pretty sure you have learned it, at schools. Plenty of companies. Amazon is one, of course, by creating Amazon Web Services, by changing the way that we buy books, changing the retail industry. It's all about innovation. So if I tell you that, that's quite plain. It doesn't teach you anything. But if you add the Gen AI factor to it, it's a total different story. That means that now innovation is made by human, but can be made by machine as well. Of course, there is always human behind, and we don't need to be scared about it. If you cannot fight your enemy, you have to join your enemy. And Gen AI were a little bit scary at the beginning, but it's becoming now totally understood on how we can manage it. And the person before me was about policies, what about how to control, and it's very important to have regulators that help this kind of environment. So once something is important, because Gen AI, a lot of people think about Gen AI like chatbot, but that's not it. Chatbot is one example, and I will go through some other example of what Gen AI can do by creating content. It can be text, can be video, can be photo. it's quite amazing. And of course, you know, you have learned it by ChatGPT, you know. I have to talk a little bit about the competition. I'm sorry for my company, because it's a consumer-facing apps, so everybody knows about it. But what we think at AWS is that the impact of GenAI will be even bigger, larger in terms of companies, in terms of enterprise, where we are going to change. In fact, I was talking to a third of the jobs worldwide. That's important. I think that the World Education Forum, that's why I'm an education person, the World Economic Forum is talking about 1.1 billion jobs. That means that most of you will be impacted by GenAI. Most of you will have the experience to use GenAI. So let's talk a little bit about it. So at Amazon, you know, we have been using machine learning, AI for more than 20 years. I don't know if you know, but there are some figures here on this screen that quite still, after 2 years and a half, you know, of being at Amazon, on Amazon Web Services, are quite shocking for me. 4,000 products per minute. The company Amazon sells 4,000 products per minute. Can you imagine how is it possible if there was no machine learning, if there was no technology? So that's something that you have to have in mind to predict, to advise the people on the website of which product they should look at. That's definitely about, you know, AI. 1.6 million packages a day. So there are robots, you know, there are also human. There's a lot of people within the house that are working on this 1.6 million. And to predict where the robot should be, where the truck and when the truck should arrive, it's all about AI and machine learning. So when people tell you, you know, you have to be careful, no, it's here. You have to cope with it, you have to learn about it, you have to master it, and that's what is important. And talking predictive AI, now GenAI, you know, Alexia is one of the best examples, is that interaction, it's billions of interactions, so it's billions of information, you know, coming and creating of the content of the answer. So now you ask a question to a machine, and the machine is going to give you an answer. Of course, sometimes there is hallucination, meaning some mistakes, but we train and we retrain, and one of the elements that we need to say at Amazon, big difference with a lot of competition, we don't use your data to train it. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Last but not least, you know, is a topic that I like a lot is computer vision, because my startups were in computer vision, and computer vision is everywhere. 10 years ago, you were seeing, you know, in events like CES in Las Vegas, you know, people matching people, you know, walking, doing counting. Now it's all totally normal. There is open source library to talk about that and to learn about that. So there is a lot of things happening with computer vision. That means that within a store of Amazon, you can put it in your basket, it will be accounted, you put it back, it will be deducted. So that's quite an amazing. And I think that is it's Amazon Go that I wanted to talk about. So that's just to tell you that AWS, you are in good hands, because we know about the topics for many years, and that's a topic of excellence that we want to have. So I don't know if you know that, but I encourage you as a student to go on our website. We have at Amazon what we call leadership principles. That means that we have things that are important for us, and we have the list of what matter for us. And the first one is what we call customer obsession. That means that we want to make sure that our customers are so important for us that we listen to them before to develop any product. More than 90% of our products are developed by having the feedback from our customer. And why sometimes on this more than 200 products, some people say, oh, this product looks similar to this one. Yes, that's the case, because one maybe will be for the bank and one may be for retail. So they are close by, but because the job is not the same, we will articulate one product for the bank and one for the retail. It's how deep we go as a company and how important. I think I lost again the slide. Sorry, sir. I think the slides are gone again. Ah, it's coming back. Okay. So at Amazon, we have to date more than 100,000 customers using AI, ML with our platform. So that's quite important. Of course, we have millions of customers, but 100,000 already started to do GenAI. It's very important. It helps us also to learn more and more. And maybe in the region that I'm managing, you have been seeing in the Middle East, there is LLM named Falcon, and I don't know if you know enough, but it's 180 billion parameters. So it's one of the largest LLM system for GenAI that is available, all developed on Amazon Web Services platform using a product that I will recommend you to have a look named SageMaker. And this product is open source. So if you want to use it, you don't have to pay a fee, you have to register and accept the T's and E's of course, of the product, but it's all for free. So that's very important, and that's an example of how large companies are using, because the name of the company is TII, it's a governmental agency of research. But me as entrepreneur, when I had my startups with only 15 people, I was also using AWS, and I have also the same kind of support from AWS people, because for AWS, managing this small startup that will become large company will be very important. So that's something. When I started my career in 1988, somebody told me, the boss of Oracle, the owner of Oracle, that in 10 years, half of the company that will be top 20 of worldwide do not exist. And it was right. And you can see today, large company, some disappear, and some of the startups became unicorns. And GenAI is going to change totally the paradigm of this industry, I can promise you. So, to stay in the context, of the GenAI, maybe a little bit of details, because a lot of people are thinking about, the FM, the LLM, so the very high level that cost millions to develop. But what has been, agreed, kind of without mentioning it, without, talking about it, is that most of them, they are open source, and most of them you can work on it, take part of it, and to adapt it to your needs. So a lot of customers, they are using an LLM, but then they reduce the scope of the LLM, and they don't want to do everything that the LLM does, and they are going to train with their own data the LLM to do a specific task if they want. And today, most of the questions that we have in terms of GenAI, which is quite interesting, especially, versus non-English speaking people, meaning Turkish, Arabic, is where to find the content to train specific model with a specific language. So that's what is important today. So of course, all of the context, all of the specific can be built, but you need some training. It's not as easy to use than ChatGPT, for instance, so you need some training. And at Amazon Web Services, we are here to help you, and I will explain to you how we do that. So, most of my customers, they're asking me, some education persons, so mainly universities, EdTech are asking me, but how can I use GenAI? Because it's a key word, it's a very nice trendy word, but what does it mean in my everyday tool, except maybe having fun to create with ChatGPT? But if you want to be professional, there are three ways that we see at AWS the support of the GenAI. The first one is to enhance the customer. So I was talking about chatbot, of course, it's one. Translation, somebody is calling you speaking one language, but you don't speak his language or her language. It's going to translate on the spot what the person is talking about. Same thing if somebody sends you an email, it's direct, so that's very important. So all of this virtual assistant, the analytics, that's really all of what we call the customer enhancement, which was the first step, I believe, in GenAI, the first thinking. The second thinking is very important because more and more, and And I will talk to you about this access partnership research that we did. I will give you a little bit of detail on the funding. And one of the big elements is the employee. The employee, I was talking about innovation, how the employee can have more creativity, can be more innovative, but also how they can be more productive, which is, of course, very important. And that's something which is very important. And here you can see some example, So the third one is optimize business processes. And I will, next slide, give you 3 examples of how you can optimize. Everything is about efficiency, about optimization, and it's very important, in companies today to make sure that the employee are best, having a good experience. Working is half of our life, so we need to be happy. And if the company helps you with tools to be better in terms of efficiency and optimize your work, that makes a difference. And GenAI is here to help you on that. So let's review a few examples of where we can see these kind of things. So the 2 examples I have was, so one is close to my heart. One of my sons is a copywriter. That means that when GenAI came, he was thinking that he will be out of a job. Copywriting, you give some ideas about what you want to write, and then 5 minutes after, you have a full text of 3 or 4 pages. And that's something scary for the people, in the copywriting area. But what they learn now is that copywriter can take advantage of GenAI. We call that prompt engineering. That means that you are going to give some ideas of what you need. You are going to ask to write only the first paragraph. Then you read the first paragraph, and does it mean what you wanted to do? Is it the style that you wanted to have? Is it really deep enough of what you should be having? And then you can correct and continue to write. So in terms of, I was talking about efficiency, it's very important. The second element, second example that I would like to give to you is all of the legal document. I don't know in Turkey, but in France, when you buy a house, there's a notary, and very often they do copy-paste of the document of somebody before, and you still have sometimes the name of the person before, the address of the person before. There's plenty of chances to have error in the document. GenAI now is used by all of this notary to create the real document with the real context. And if, for instance, in the meantime of these 2 documents last week, article of law had changed, Article 51 is not the same anymore, then GenAI will tell you that this article is not valid anymore, that you need to use another article. So that's how efficient it is, how useful it is. So that's what I wanted to share. I think the last one is it's a real one, a real story, very funny one, is that I know somebody that has, it's in Italy, has a company and he designed glasses. Okay, so he had a request to design glasses for a specific race. It was a bicycle race, and last minute they say, we want to give glasses to all of the people that are coming to the race. He called his designer. This designer is based in Switzerland. The designer said, I'm on vacation. I cannot help you. I'm sorry. 2 weeks, I'm back. I can design your glasses. His son, real story. His son was close to him and said, Dad, using GenAI, I can develop for you these glasses, and I will ask you half of the price of your designer. And what happened is that he designed glasses, 15 years old, get the money, they send it back to the designer after, and the guy was asking which company designed these glasses, they are top. So it's how powerful this GenAI are in your life, in your job. So that's about the context. So let's talk about now a little bit about the trends, which could be very important for you to know. So here it's written, 92% of organizations worldwide will use AI. That means there is no go back. That's it, 92% of the company wants to go using AI to improve their efficiency, to improve their product, to improve their design. There is no way back. So we have to go with it. That's definitely the key message. And it's not a small study. It's a study that Access Partnership Leadership and AWS did together, it's more than 6,500 people, employees, and 2,500 companies. Normally a survey is around 500 to 1,000. So it's more than 8,000 people that have been questioned about what will be the impact on GenAI. So when you have such high figures of 92% of people that say they will use it in my company by 2028, which is tomorrow morning, that's definitely a trend. So that's really the main trend. However, on these people that say they are going to use it, 75% say, but we don't find the people, we don't have the talent, we don't know how to recruit, we don't know exactly what to ask to them. And one of the slides where I will tell you executives need to be involved will be very important, because you need the vision and mission of the executive to define how to be trained. So that's an element, very important that I wanted to share with you. So 3/4 of the employers, they don't know where to find talents about AI, about GenAI. So if you want to have a job, if you want to make more money, I recommend you to go on GenAI, learn about it. It's not so complex, and if you specialize, definitely you will find a job very easily, because that's the time to go for it. So that's the element number one. Of course, 80% of these employers, and I'm reading here, say that it will augment. And then you have, around, people talk about compliance, talk about, and the person before was talking about policies, and that's very important. So there is some concern, about the compliance and making sure that we don't use the data of somebody else, we don't, we protect the data of the company, so a lot of people are asking about that as well. So the third element, is that today, on this survey, and I think I have here, if it's changing. So, when we say 86% of employers, will be driven by AI, 80% of employees will have to use AI within 5 years. So I was telling you that it's very important. But one element maybe that can talk to you is this one. 30% of increased salary for people having the knowledge of AI, machine learning. I'm not talking about algorithms, so don't be scared. I'm not talking about people that are good in mathematics. I'm talking about people that know how to use a tool that can be used, and that's a big revolution of the GenAI, by non-technical people. That means it's not only the IT people that will take advantage of this growth. It's not only the IT people that will be pay more. It's everybody in the business, in the marketing, in finance, everywhere. Whatever is your specialty, you can make 30% more salary in terms of using GenAI. That's a big number. And here I have a slide. I don't know if it's big enough. And you can see it's quite flat versus, human resource and IT. Of course, IT is a little bit in the forefront, because for the next 2 or 3 years, IT will have to cope, will have to be better at it. So it's more investment. But I don't know if you know, but developers, when I had my startup, developers are very difficult to find. GenAI is going to ease the process of developers, because for most of them, you don't need to know how to code Python or JavaScript, You can just give orders to the GenAI, and it can help you to code. Of course, somebody knowing a little bit behind will do the quality, but non-technical, that's the big change. Non-technical people will be able to take advantage of this really big improvement in terms of salary. And this non-tech is key for the trend. All of the companies that we have been talking with, 2,500 companies, 6,000 people, say it's mainly for the non-tech. So it's not reserved to a part of the people, it's really open to everyone. And that's, for me, so important, to talk about that, because it's open, especially in this kind of university, the doors to everyone. And of course, what needs to be done is the training. So AWS has the commitment in terms of training. I will give you some numbers on the next slide, but that's part of our philosophy, that's part of our DNA, is that we need to bring training, education. We have an education division, at AWS, because we believe, and like all of the main countries, education is key for the success of the society. And because GenAI is becoming so important in the society, education needs to take the fair share of helping students, young people, less young people, like me, for instance, to know more about GenAI. And that's what we are really working at very much. So, I don't want to go too much in detail more on this one, but that's the worrying part, is that when you look at the figures of 92% of the employers want to use GenAI, but 75% cannot find the talent, but it's even, the barrier is really even bigger. 72%, they don't even know what kind of talent. So they cannot find the talent, but they don't know which talent they are looking for. And when I was talking about the executive, the CEO, the CIO, they need to be involved, and we need to train them as well to understand what GenAI can bring to them. Because if it's not within the vision, if it's not within the mission of the company, it will be very difficult to address, the challenge of removing this barrier to find the good talent. So we are committed to help the companies, the universities doing that. So, summary, before to go how more AWS can help you. If you have only 3 figures or 2 figures to remember, productivity will increase. I told you, 7 trillion, 40% of Europe GDP, 6 times the GDP of Turkey. It's big numbers. It's going to impact immensely the economy. So that's something we should not miss. And 30% of more salary, I think that's a good one to remember, because in this time of crisis, where sometimes we say, wow, find a job is difficult, but with this GenAI talent, expertise, knowledge, it will be much easier for you to differentiate and be part of the new economy that we are building all together. So, at Amazon, we have a lot of free products that are about training. So for students, I don't know if you know that, we have AWS Educate. For professional, we have AWS Skill Builder. And always in all of our solutions, we have a freemium, and then you can pay. So on the basic, you have around 600 classes that you can have for free with Skill Builder. And then if the organization want to bring employees, I think it's $449 a year only to have access to thousands of content that are very important for you to get trained. On AI ML only, on the 600, there's already 100 classes that are dedicated to AI and ML. That's a lot. And it's all available online. It's all available via this skill builder. And it helps you also, which is very important, to prepare for some extra certificate. Because most of the employers now, when you will come with your resume, your university, your background, having some certificate will change also a lot. So that's something that gives value when you will be looking for a job. So if you want to take, maybe the picture of this barcode, you will have more information on how we are proposing, helping, the training. Of course, we have a booth just behind this stage, so stop by and talk with the team, ask a question that will be here to answer to you. I leave it 1 minute so you can take it. Good. If you don't have it, go to the booth after and talk to us, And of of course, also to transfer the business, we have some other, the analysis. So if you want to see more data, if you want to have access to the Access partnership on AWS research study that we did, and have these 5 key findings with the numbers, if you want to prepare, a class, or if you want to talk with colleagues, definitely take advantage of that. So, 29 million people training. That's the commitment of Amazon to train for free 29 million people. And we are already at 21 million. So we are on the success of doing it, and we'll do even more because we even committed now to train 2 million students or individuals on AI and GenAI because it's such an important topic. And definitely here, I invite you to come to our website, to come and visit us. As I told you, GenAI, it's the next paradigm in terms of the job. It's going to impact 2/3 of the job on the planet, like the education, the World Economic Forum was saying 1.1 billion jobs in the next 5 years will be impacted. So I think it's worthwhile to come and visit us, spend time with us. We have been doing this work for 20 years and we are passionate about it. And thank you for listening to us.